Hello, I'm Stephen Webster. I'm an attorney and I also work with the Society of American Small Business Accountants, SASBA. SASBA has helped my personal finances, and I trust it'll do the same for yours. Thank you for taking the time to watch these videos. The information you get here will help you take charge of your personal finances and work towards becoming debt-free. Let's get started. I am an attorney, but my formal education provided me with no strategy for handling my personal finances. So then why am I here talking to you? I am here because I had the great fortune of meeting John Harrison, who introduced me to this program for financial freedom. John is the founding member of SASBA. SASBA is a network of CPAs across the country who have formulated a plan for helping their clients gain control over their personal finances. John is the executive director of SASBA, but he has been a CPA for more than 40 years. I met John after I started my firm approximately 6 years ago. I was apprehensive about starting my own business, and a trusted friend referred me to John. John agreed to take me on as a client, and it completely changed the course of my professional career. I quickly learned that John is much more than an accountant. He is my financial mentor. With John's guidance and his personal passion for helping people obtain control over their personal finances, for the first time, I began the process of taking control of my personal finances. I am not debt-free yet, but I am nearing that goal. And for the first time in my life, I have a sense of peace about my financial future. It is important to note that John didn't ask me to buy any life insurance policies or securities or buy anything. Rather, he simply gave me some information and the support that I needed to turn my financial situation around. You also need to know that this program is different than anything you have ever seen, and it does not require you to change your lifestyle. You don't need to sell your 4-bedroom house and move into a 2-bedroom house. You will not be asked to sell your nice car and buy a clunker. You will not be required to work an extravagant financial plan and account for every penny that you spend. If those were practical solutions for you, then you wouldn't need this plan. This plan is successful because it offers realistic strategies to save money and then a plan to redirect those savings so that you are no longer wasting but winning. While this plan will not require you to change your lifestyle, it will require you to pay attention. The program will teach you some practical areas to identify savings without giving up your comfort or your convenience, and then a plan to redirect those savings so that you can finally win financially. Following the plan is not burdensome, but the results will be life-changing. It will not happen overnight, but your peace of mind will improve dramatically in short order. And if you are like me, you will quickly gain a newfound sense of confidence and optimism in your financial well-being. Before I went to law school, I worked in construction. I began as a laborer, but I eventually became a licensed contractor, and I served as the superintendent for the construction company that I worked for. My income increased exponentially throughout that transition, but my financial well-being never seemed to change, no matter how many raises I got. Likewise, I still carried the same or more pressure from debt, no matter how many times I got a raise. That pattern didn't change after I became a lawyer. On the contrary, my mortgage just got larger, and so did my financial pressures. Look, folks, when I was working in construction, I would look at lawyers, or doctors, or businessmen, or my boss, and I would just assume that they never had to worry about money. I just assumed that they had a plan that provided them complete control of their financial situation. But then I became the superintendent. Then I became the lawyer. And then I realized just how wrong I was. SASBA has finally taught me that it doesn't matter what your station is in life. You will not have control of your personal finances if you don't have a plan. SASBA will give you the plan and the support that you need to become debt-free and then to finally have control over your personal finances. The information has been broken down into 15 initial strategies that target areas where you can save money and use those savings to go from wasting to winning. Each strategy will be presented in the following format. A brief narrative will introduce the strategy for saving. A video presentation will follow that explains the strategy in greater detail. And then you will have a question and answer presentation to help you solidify the concepts that you've just learned. Each presentation can be completed in less than 20 minutes, with many requiring less than 10 minutes of your time to complete. I promise you that the time you invest learning how to take control of your personal finances will prove to be far less demanding than the time many of you probably already spend waking up at 2 a.m. in a cold sweat worrying about how you're going to pay your bills. Let's stop that and let's start winning. Let's get started. Thank you for joining us here today. Today we're going to talk about the secret weapon to financial success. This is the foundation upon which SASBA is built. This is the most important section of the program that our CPAs have identified create the biggest problem for individuals gaining financial success. Let's talk about some facts. 48% of U.S. families spend more money than they earn. 78% of U.S. families live paycheck to paycheck. 96% of all Americans will retire financially dependent on the government, their family, or on charity. Chances are you fall into one of those categories. But you don't have to become a statistic. You deserve better, and your family deserves better. What is the Take Charge solution? Ask yourself a couple of questions. How would your life be different if you had no debt? And are you willing to make a 7 to 10 year investment to become debt-free? SASBA is ready to help you achieve those goals. And they're realistic. In 7 to 10 years, your entire life could be different. That may seem like a long time, but are you going to be retired in 7 to 10 years? Do you anticipate living longer than 7 to 10 years? What would that freedom feel like? You deserve to know, and SASBA is here to help you finally understand what it feels like to be debt-free. Let's see if this program is right for you. Have you ever said the following things? After this pay raise, things will be okay. But then after you got the pay raise, 6 months down the road, you found out your life had not changed at all. Your financial picture had not improved. Have you ever tried to budget, but only to find it fail time and again? Have you ever had your credit cards maxed out at Christmas and complained about it, but just to do the same thing the following Christmas? Have you ever asked yourself, why do I have to replace the tires on the car right now? This is the worst time to have that happen to me. I don't have any money in the account. The accountants with SASBA have heard their clients say these same things over and over again. And it's why they created the Take Charge solution. You really need to stop right now because this is incredibly important, what we're about to discuss. If you're like most people, your attention span only gives you about 2 minutes before you start thinking about next month's car payment or how you're going to replace those tires or all those pressures that are constantly percolating in the back of your mind. Set those aside right now and focus on what we're about to talk about. This is the most important information that we have to offer. This is our secret weapon. You won't hear anybody else talk about this, but this is what our network of accountants have identified as the biggest problem that plagues people in dealing with their personal finances. This weapon will allow you to avoid being one of the 78% of the people who live paycheck to paycheck. This information will give you the tools that you need to become financially free.
As Albert Einstein said, you will never solve problems using the same thinking that you created them with. That's what we have here. It's a way to look at the problem, debt, differently. That's what the Take Charge solution will give you. Our secret weapon is the Take Charge account. It's not a savings account. It's a planning account. It allows you to plan for expenses that you know are going to come, that everybody's going to have. But rather than having to borrow money or go into debt to deal with them, you will be prepared to pay for them out of your Take Charge account. Let's look at a sample budget for a Take Charge account. Our accountants have realized that most people do very well preparing for monthly expenses. For the mortgage, for the utility bill, the bills that they know are going to come every month aren't what is causing clients to go into debt. It's the non-monthly payments that are causing people to go into debt. What are non-monthly payments? They're those expenses that you don't anticipate every month, but you should. This budget here sets aside $1,000 for auto insurance. Assuming that you don't pay auto insurance every month, you know you have to pay for it. This account allows you to plan for that payment. This account sets aside $2,000 for holidays and gifts. No longer will you have to max out your credit cards to pay for your Christmas gifts. Sets aside $1,000 for vacation, $600 for term insurance, and $5,000 for a maintenance fund. Now, every Take Charge account is going to be different. This is just an example. But what you really need to focus on is the maintenance fund. And obviously that's the largest expenditure there, but for good reason. The experts say that a homeowner should plan on spending 1 to 1.5% of the fair market value of their home every year on maintenance items. So if your home has a fair market value of $300,000, you need to set aside $3,000 to $4,500 every year to be prepared for maintenance items. How are you going to pay for the roof right now if it goes out? If you need to replace it? How are you going to pay for a new heat pump if it goes out? This Take Charge account takes that worry away from you. Setting aside that money will more than allow for you to have the resources you need to pay for those expenditures and those repairs when the need arises. It won't happen maybe this year. You may only use a small portion of that. But the next year, you may get hit with 2 repairs that you didn't anticipate. This account will leave you in a position where you can pay for them straight away without incurring any debt and paying any interest and wasting that money on interest. As you can see here, this total annual budget for this Take Charge account, this sample, is $9,600. We take that number and divide it by 12, and that gives us the total monthly amount that this person would need to set aside to fund their Take Charge account. Now, we know what you're thinking. Right now, you're having 2 thoughts. The same 2 thoughts that everybody has when they first see this information. The same thought I had when I first saw this information. You're thinking to yourself, 1, that makes perfect sense. Christmas is going to come every year. I need to set the money aside for it. I'm going to have to replace my tires on my car at some point. But you're also thinking to yourself, where am I going to get the money? This isn't a secret weapon. You already know that I'm living paycheck to paycheck, but now you want me to send $800 into a planning account so that I can be prepared for these non-monthly expenses? Well, don't worry. We've got the solution to that problem. Our accountants have identified 15 strategies that will allow you to fully fund your Take Charge account. Let's talk about the 15 strategies to fully fund your Take Charge account. As we told you, this program, is focused on redirecting existing expenditures, making your money work in different ways so that you can have financial freedom. People have, right now, what we call a put and take account. People have accounts where they put some money in there and they just kind of hope that it's going to be enough eventually to cover the non-monthly expenses. It's not that people don't take it into consideration at all. The problem is they just don't have a concrete plan to deal with it and to truly prepare. So they have a put and take account instead of a prepared account. We're going to show you with the Take Charge account how to make sure that you set aside enough so that you aren't putting and taking, but rather you're planning and prepared. A lot of people who are in debt have retirement accounts. They have an IRA account or some other account where they try to set aside money for retirement, and they hope that they're achieving a good return on that money, enough of a return to offset the interest that they're paying on debt. We find that most people are wasting their money doing that. Unless you have a matching 401k plan or something of that nature, you should not be putting money in a retirement account until you're debt-free. We'll help you understand that concept, realize why that's important, and why that is one of our keys to financial freedom. We generally find that most of our clients can fund their Take Charge accounts through the following 3 ways: insurance savings, credit card savings, and other interest savings, and taxes. We will give you the tools and the advice that you need to make sure that you're not wasting money on insurance and that you can redirect those savings to your Take Charge account and your plan for financial freedom. The same thing with credit cards. We'll show you tools and give you information that you need so that you can start saving as much as 5% overnight on your interest payments on your credit cards. And the same thing with your taxes. You can redirect these savings to your Take Charge account and be prepared for the non-monthly expenses that put most people in debt and have put you in debt in the past. You will stop thinking the way that you've always thought about your financial position. The remainder of the money to fund your financial Take Charge account will come from what we call our Sweat the Small Stuff program. Some other general advice and guidelines on ways you can save money in a number of ways. We'll give you information so that you can save money on groceries, gas, your cell phone bills, and more. It's these savings that are going to give you the financial freedom that you need. It's these savings that will fund your Take Charge account and will leave you prepared for the future. SASBA will give you the tools you need so that you're no longer wasting money, but you're winning with your money. Let us take you from wasting to winning. Let's drill down on one of the 15 strategies right now. Just by way of example, credit card interest. A survey was performed, and it showed that 80% of individuals who simply called their credit card company and asked for help with their interest rate received an average of a 5% decrease in their interest rate. That's substantial, significant savings, 80%. Now, some of you are probably out there thinking to yourself, I've heard of that before. But have you done it? Have you done it recently? I'm not coming down on you, because I had heard about that before I met John, but I didn't take advantage of it. And this is where SASBA tells you, it's not about changing your lifestyle. It's about paying attention, taking advantage of the opportunities that are there to help you save money and gain financial freedom. So what is the next step? We would ask you to go to this link that's here on the screen and begin outlining your future for financial freedom. Start working on your Take Charge account today. Take control of your financial future. We promise you, you will get the tools to completely change your financial picture, and we'll give you the tools you need to stop wasting and start winning. Thank you for your time.